What does it profit, my brethren, if a man says he has faith but has not works? Can his faith save him? If a brother or a sister is ill-clad and in lack of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and filled," without giving them the things needed for the body, what does it profit? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. James chapter 2, verses 14 through 17. Okay, so this is a Honeywell surround heat space heater. And the model number is, it says it's CAS USA. And the model number is HZ445RD1. And this thing is not working properly. If I turn it on, the light goes on and the display works, but it does not heat. So the temperature is set to high on the desired temperature, but it is not working. So I'm going to take this thing apart and see if we can figure out what's keeping it from coming on. Alright, so the first thing that you will notice on the bottom is that it has special security screws on there that require a special bit. So the ones that I bought were these DeWalt Torx bits, and they have a hole in the center of it. Sometimes they're referred to as security bits. But anyway, so with this tool I can take those out without too much difficulty. Oh, there's 4 of those with feet on them, and then there's 2 regular Phillips heads also there, holding that bottom piece on. So that wasn't too bad. And looking down in there, it looks like there's a circuit board, and then the fan blower up in here. And I'm going to take a little bit to look at this and see if I can see anything that looks bad, and I'll come back. So a couple things I noticed is first that the switch that tips, or that shuts it off when it tips over, is working, because when I do that I hear a click and the display goes out, and when I turn it back up the display comes back on. I also noticed that there is a little circuit board right here, this one, that is the thermometer, because if I put my finger on that, it changes the display. So that seems to be working. So what I'm suspecting is that there is a thermal fuse that may be bad. Now all I have to do is find it. So I am going to look on this circuit board, and it appears that there are 2 screws. Now I have it unplugged now. Probably advisable before you start sticking your fingers in here. But there are 2 screws that hold this circuit board on there. Maybe if I turn it over this way, you can see it better. So I'm going to use the smaller screwdriver. And here's the third one in there, back in the back. In order to really swing that out of there, I'm going to need to disconnect this ribbon cable here. Okay, so I was able to just rock that back and forth, and that came out. Allowing me to expose the circuit board here. I may have to cut some of those wire ties to give me enough to get that out of there. Plus I have to retrieve that little screw that I dropped back in there. Okay, it looks like the key to getting this thing apart was just splitting the case like that. There's nothing other than just plastic clips that hold the case all the way down. Okay, when I said that we need to split the case, I had taken off the wrong side, and that caused me a lot of problems. So you need to take the back side off rather than the control panel side. And then you can see that there's two screws that hold that grate to the heating assembly on that side. And then as we flip the thing over, you can see that there's two other screws that hold the grate to the heating assembly. And this is how the front side, the control panel side, is attached to the heating assembly. So there, I'm actually installing it in this case, but to take it apart, you'd be doing that on both sides. There's screws on each side that hold the front half of the case to that. And okay, so I was able to pry the grate off here. So now that is out of the way. 4 screws that will allow this cover to be taken off. Okay, so I took the 4 screws out here, and this is what it looks like. It's all dirty in here, and right there is the thermal overload fuse right there, and I suspect that is what the problem is based on all this dirt. So next I'm going to remove that the control panel so that I can plug it in with this thing to this unit here with it disassembled, so maybe that I can measure some voltages and see if I can detect what component is bad here. And also the little thermostat. So there, that is free. Okay, by setting this board upright, it allows the power to come on after I hit the power switch right here. So it initially says set to high, 60 degrees, so I still have no attempt to turn the fan on or to heat the element. Okay, on this particular unit, I think I have located the problem. So I traced the voltage coming in through the power cord here, went on the circuit board to this black wire, which I traced up around here along the side to this contact over here, and it continues on or through that wire there. And if I look on the inside here, there's a pair of contacts. These contacts here were open, and so that was actually breaking the circuit, and so no power would flow. And so what I did was simply pushed on that contact like that with a screwdriver, and eventually they closed. So I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but when this thing stopped working, somebody had accidentally knocked it over, and so I don't know whether that has something to do with it, why those contacts came open. It's some kind of a safety device, I assume, but now they're back together, and when I plug it in, the fan starts running, and I didn't leave it on long enough for the heat to start generating, because it's not in it's just sitting on the table like that, and it's not in its proper base. So I think I am gonna put it back together and see if it works.